I am going to explain on this video OWASP top 10. I am going to explain introduction about OWASP, importance of the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, detailed overview of the 10 risks, detailed overview of the top 10 risks, examples and mitigations with the best practices, and then finally summary. What is OWASP? Is it Open Web Application Security Project or Open Worldwide Application Security Project? We can check on that. Yes, both are correct. OWASP till 2023 February, the full term is Open Web Application Security Project. After February 2023, it's renamed. The web changed to Worldwide. Open Worldwide Application Security Project. Now, OWASP means Open Worldwide Application Security Project. On this OWASP, it will helpful for web application, mobile application, API, and many more things. They are identifying the list of security issues and vulnerabilities. It's a research-based standard application security awareness document gathered from more than 40 voluntary organizations across the globe. The priority order in the list is based on the occurrence of incidents reported from each bug. The highest reported vulnerabilities takes the first place. In this OWASP, the top 10 list, the top 10 highest reported vulnerabilities are listed every 3 to 4 years. Now the current active list is released by 2021. Before 2021, the OWASP team released in 2017 the top 10 vulnerability issues. The OWASP is the non-profit foundation. It helps to improve the software security in the entire world. Any organization, they can take this OWASP top 10 and they can implement their projects. The global community of developers, testers, and security professionals working on this. It publishes top 10 as an awareness document. It helps organizations build secure applications. What's the main importance of OWASP? It is the most critical security risk for web applications, mobile applications, APIs, and many more applications. It is used as an industry standard for security awareness purpose. Basis for compliance, secure coding, and penetration testing. It adapted by organizations worldwide to improve the security posture. Top 10 security vulnerabilities. The number 1 is broken access control. Number 2, cryptographic failures. The number 3 is injection. Number 4, insecure design. Number 5, security misconfiguration. Number 6, vulnerable and outdated components. Number 7, identification and authentication failures. Number 8, software and data integrity failures. Number 9, security logging and monitoring failures. At the last, number 10, server-side request forgery. These are the top 10 OWASP 2021 security vulnerabilities. It was released in 2021. In this top 10 list, we need to maintain the list from top 1 to top 10 order. We should not change the order from top 1 to 3, 4 or 7, 8 like that. We should not reshuffle the order. These are the top 10 issues released by the OWASP. To remember this order, we need to follow some methods or something. To remember the security vulnerabilities in the proper order, I have created a sentence. If you memorize this sentence or if you read this sentence, you can able to order the top 10 issues as a sentence. Like we can consider attackers break the access control using cryptographic failures. Okay, once the attackers break the access control using cryptographic failures, they will inject into the insecure design with the help of security misconfiguration. Okay, once injected using vulnerable and outdated components, they will make the failures in identification and authorization, software and data integrity, security logging and monitoring failures. Finally, at the server-side request forgery, they will make it. If you read this sentence, then you can remember the order from top 1 to top 10. We should not change the top level of the orders. The order should be maintained. So when we analyze the project and it will identify the issues, the top 1 needs to be fixed first. Then top 2, top 3, top 4, top level. Then from 1 to 10, we need to fix the issues. 17 to 2021. There are 3 new categories and 4 categories with name changing and scoping changing, and some consolidation in the top 10 for 2021. We have changed names when necessary to focus on the root cause over the symptom. The injection was number 1 in 2017, but in 2021, it changed from number 1 to number 3. So the order changed from 1 to 3 based on the number of issues faced by the entire world of the software developers. Based on their inputs, the order will be changing. The broken authentication is second. Now it's changed to the 7 and changed the name, identification and authentication failures. Similarly, these all changed, and 3 new security vulnerabilities introduced in the 2021. Insecure design, software and data integrity failures, server-side request forgery. Access control. This is the number 1 in 2021. What is broken access control? This vulnerability allows bad actors to bypass authentication and gain access to sensitive data and systems. They can exploit this vulnerability simply by modifying the URL or by changing the parameter within the browser. It occurs when user can access resource without proper authorization, and it occurs due to the lack of proper access control configuration. Okay, common issues are URL tampering, privilege escalation, it making impact in the reputational loss, data exposure, account compromise, admin privilege even without being logged in. They can add, modify or remove the data from the user record. How we can prevent this broken access control? Minimize the cross-origin resource sharing, implementing monitoring and alert for admins for suspicious user access, implement the rate limiting to prevent brute forcing. Explained in the example, the user trying to access the application using the access control way. When the user access, there is in the app using API or URLs. Now the attacker is trying to access the app. How the attacker is trying to access in this example, the user trying to access the user ID is 1234. This is the correct user ID. He is trying to access the app. What attacker is going to do? The attacker is maliciously modifying the ID to 5678. So the normal user the attacker changing their user ID into something different, 5678. Okay, to avoid that by input sanitation, we need to use it. Here we can see the URL /app/get-info. This is the normal user. When it is the normal unauthenticated user trying to access this URL, what he will do, he will use the admin_get_info. The non-admin user, when passing something in the URL, then they can able to access that. If they are trying to access that from our broken access control, it want to deny or it want to stop to access that. What is cryptographic failures? This is previously known as sensitive data exposure. It is a weak or missing encryption of sensitive data. This vulnerability enables bad actors to bypass encryptions implemented over sensitive data such as passwords, financial records, credit card numbers, health records, personal information, and even business-related classified information. This vulnerability is exploited in scenarios in which either automatic database encryption is used or a lack of proper encryption of network requests, or when simple or unsalted hashes are used for encryption for data storage. Due to these cryptographic failures, it causes a risk in identify theft, financial fraud, sensitive data breach. How we can prevent these cryptographic failures? We need to encrypt the sensitive data. Then we need to delete the sensitive data that is stored unnecessarily. Ensure the cryptographic randomness whether possible and ensure it is non-predictable. Store passwords with a strong and adaptive hashing function. Also avoid outdated cryptographic mechanism. When we follow these methods, we can stop these cryptographic failures. How the cryptographic failures is happening? Injection attack methods. The attacker trying to make the cryptographic failures. So here the user is trying to access the app. Users trying the credit card information from the database using the app with SQL query. The attacker trying to inject the something Here the credit card information, when the user trying to access from the app, it should not show immediately, like it want to ask the OTP or the multi-level authentication. Using that method only it want to show the credit card numbers. That is, we need to avoid the auto decryption method. Using that we can stop it. The another example is sniffing attack. Users trying to access using the URL HTTP and HTTPS. Always the URL should be HTTPS. The attacker cannot able to access the URL using HTTPS. If the URL is HTTP, then there is a lot of possibility to access, or they can attack the database, or using the HTTP only the attacker is trying to make this vulnerability exploit. What is injection? Untrusted data sent to interpreter. That means SQL or NoSQL or OS. This vulnerability allows attackers to exploit an application or even gain access to its infrastructure when it does not properly sanitize user input. It can be executed by uploading unintended data or piece of code along with web request, which makes the interpreter output sensitive information stored in the database server. Also, the injection is a group of vulnerabilities. In the injection, we can see SQL injection, NoSQL injection, command injection, server-side template injection, header injection, cross-site scripting methods, HTML injection, CSS injection. Due to this injection, there will be a data leakage, data loss, corruption in the database, remote code execution. Partially or completely, the attacker can get access to the servers. The response manipulation, loss of user integrity. Here, the hacker is trying to sending SQL query in the user input in the web server. It select the user password from user data. where user equal to something in the database server. When it is getting back, it's storing the sensitive information, the entire thing, like username, password, both it's getting username and password. Select the username, password, and from the data user equal to John. This is the SQL query injection. Insecure design. Security flaws in the architecture or design phases. If there is any flaws in the architecture or design phase, that's called insecure design. A lack of inefficient control design leads to this vulnerability, and it fails to choose the level of security architecture for the application or the organization. Example, threat modeling and insecure workflows. What is the impact or risk of insecure design? Exploitable system level weaknesses. It access to the sensitive data stored in the vulnerable system or server. It can alter the functionality of the applications. Avoid this insecure design. We can implement and use the secure design patterns and libraries. Security checks from the initial phase of software development lifecycle. Validate all important flaws that are immune to the threat model and create use cases and misuse cases for each layer of your application. The user is trying to book the ticket using ticketing app. Initially he's trying to book the 15 tickets, but due to the insecure design, he can able to block the more than 600 tickets. The hacker is trying to block more number of tickets. Security misconfiguration. The default account can able to access the unnecessary services or verbose error messages. We must configure the security measures in our system and applications. But what if they are not properly configured? Then there will be security misconfigurations. So it can be misconfigured or unchanged the default common credentials, enable unnecessary features such as enabling the port, enabling the services, enabling the privileges, and enabling the pages, etc. Risk of the security misconfiguration, unauthorized access, information leakage, the complete access over the server or the system and the data stored. Functionality manipulation of the application which affect the users. How we can prevent this? Make the application minimal with just the necessary features and frameworks used. Share the security practices and directives with the clients. Hacker is trying to log in using admin console with the default credential. The default user can able to log in with the admin console. He may be a user or he may not be a user on this database or this admin console, but he can able to log in with this. Due to this security misconfiguration, once he log in the admin console, he can able to access the database server and he can able to change the values. What is vulnerable components? The usage of outdated libraries and frameworks. It's called the vulnerable components. A software service providers fix the vulnerabilities in their products with each software service upgrade. This includes the operating system, web and application servers, database management systems, runtime environments, libraries, and all APIs and related parts. This vulnerability takes place if we haven't updated or implemented the latest version of secure software. It results in making the entire application vulnerable from the vulnerable framework of software we use. Also, this vulnerability takes place when you implement software and its related components in our applications for vulnerable or untrusted sources. Using these vulnerable or outdated components, it non-exploits used against the system. Due to this, server compromise, data breach, reputational damage over the entire firm. Example, Log4Shell, Heartbleed. This is a common example for that. Identification and authentication failure. This vulnerability is related to security weakness in the login module. Previously, it is known as broken authentication. It occurs due to a lack of restrictions for automated attacks, unchanged default passwords, improper session validation or expiry, and a lack of restrictions for weak or well-known passwords. A weak password handling, session mismanagement. Risk: account can take over, credential stuffing, identity theft. How we can restrict this? Restrict weak or default password. Implement multi-factor authentication. Log failed password attempts and implement an admin alert system. Implement delay for numerous failed login attempts. Here the attacker using the stolen credentials, then the victim services. This is the example for identification and authentication failures. The attacker stealing the credentials and he is trying to log in with different users as a victim service. He can able to do all the things. Due to a lack of integrity in either or both of the code and the infrastructure of the software being used. Integrity not verified in the code, updates or CI/CD environments. It can be due to using plugins, modules or libraries from illegitimate sources. Also, a lack of proper integrity checks of software updates would lead to the same. Example, dependency confusion, supply chain attacks. Risk, system compromise, database compromise, authorized, unauthorized updates, making it run over all the installations. How we can prevent this? Ensure packages, libraries and dependencies are utilizing trusted repositories. Verify the authenticity of the software or data with proper digital signature. Implement and ensure proper access control configuration and segregation in the CI/CD pipeline. Also use the OWASP dependency check or OWASP Cyclone DX. It will ensure this all. This is the common example. Security logging and monitoring failures. Monitoring and logging in incidents play a vital role in the detection of breaches. Insufficient monitoring and alerting due to this security logging and monitoring failures are happening. This category is to help find and respond to active breaches properly with the help of logs. It occurs due to a lack of or unclear logs of failed or suspicious login attempts, high value transactions. Risk, undetected breaches, delayed responses, database compromise. The source and the intensity of a data breach cannot be analyzed due to a lack of incident logs. Example, missing logs during the incident response time period. Avoid the security logging and monitoring failures. Ensure logs are implemented. Establish proper monitoring and alerting of suspicious activities. Encode the logs to prevent injection attacks on the logging system. Implement a standardized incident response and recovery plan. This is an example for this. Server-side request forgery. SSRF vulnerabilities occur when a web application retrieves a remote resource from the server or database without verifying the user supplied URL. Attackers trick server into making requests to internal systems. It allows the bad actor to send a forged request to an unexpected network destination, even if it is secured by a firewall, VPN, or any sort of network access control measures. Risk or impact of this SSRF. It access to internal data, pivoting into network, sensitive data leakage. It compromising the infrastructure of the application, including its internal services. It conduct further attacks such as RCE, remote code execution, and denial of service, DOS. Example, cloud metadata exploitation. How we can restrict this SSRF? Implement the deny by default in firewall settings, which block all except essential intranet traffic. Sanitize and validate all the client supplied input data. Disable HTTP redirections. Use network encryption. Enforce URL schema, port and destination with a positive allow list. Here user trying to online shopping app. Is the stack items exist or not? Using HTTP request, content type, content length, and he is trying to use the URLs HTTP start. When passing this, the API URL can be modified like this. HTTP localhost_/admin. Using this, then the localhost admin path can be accessed using this SSRF vulnerability attacks. And attackers modifying this URL. Implement the secure software development lifecycle, SSDLC. Adapt DevSecOps practices. If you are using the DevOps environment, then move from DevOps to DevSecOps practices. Regularly monitor the vulnerability scanning using SAST, DAST, YAST, or SCA methods. Apply least privilege. Secure defaults. Continuous developer training and awareness. Continuously give the training to developers and give the awareness to everyone. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions, please comment your question in the comment section. I will respond answers to you. Thank you for watching. Thank you once again. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel.